All right, so let's dive into this, shall we? Morocco's football revolution.
The revolution.
I bet when most people hear that word, revolution, they think like some massive upheaval,
Yeah.
like protests in the streets. But this revolution is totally different. This one's all about how Morocco systematically transformed their entire football scene.
Right.
And it's not just the men's team either. Like, think about it. When was the last time, and I mean, really, when was the last time you saw a country dominate across men's and women's and youth football?
Yeah.
Even futsal, seemingly out of nowhere.
Right. And what's so fascinating is that Morocco's, recent achievements, they had that historic World Cup semifinal run.
Right.
And then the Women's World Cup round of 16 appearance.
Yeah.
Even their under-23 African Cup of Nations victory.
They're cleaning up.
Yeah. And those aren't flukes. Like, that's not just luck.
Right.
This was a deliberate long-term plan that they set in motion years ago. So it's like they engineered success across every aspect of the sport.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, where do you even begin to build something like that?
So to really get this, we've got to kind of rewind a bit, go back to what we'll call, the dark ages of Moroccan football.
Okay.
Picture this. Constant group stage exits at tournaments, barely even qualifying for the big ones, just pure frustration. All that potential just going to waste.
Absolutely. And that's where the architect of this transformation comes in, Fouzi Lekja. When he became president of the Royal Moroccan Football Federation in 2017, that was a major turning point. Instead of going for those quick fixes, they just scrapped it all. They went for a total system overhaul. Like, they needed to build this whole football ecosystem from scratch.
Ecosystem. Okay. I like that. But I think for our listeners, we've got to break that down a little.
Sure.
I mean, what does that actually look like in the world of football?
So in this case, I'm talking about creating a system where everything is connected.
Right.
Right? So you've got talent identification, development, coaching, competition. It's all interlinked.
Okay.
And it's all mutually reinforcing each other.
Yeah.
Right? It's about building that foundation that's going to support success at every level.
Got it.
From the grassroots youth programs all the way up to the national team.
So instead of just like crossing their fingers and hoping that a star player magically appears, they said, no, we're going to create a system to produce them consistently.
Exactly.
Okay, so I know they built some state-of-the-art facilities, but what else? Like, what were the key pieces of this new system?
Well, one of the most impressive things they did was create this King Mohammed VI Football Academy.
Okay.
And it was built back in 2009.
Interesting.
When, Moroccan football was really at a low point. But, and this is important, this wasn't just about, having nice fields and fancy equipment. This was about nurturing talent holistically. Think about it. Imagine a place where education and sports development actually go hand in hand. So you have classrooms there, top-notch coaching, and they even have a dedicated sports medicine department.
Wow.
So they're preparing these kids for professional careers, both on and off the field.
Okay, that's amazing. So they weren't just like creating athletes. They were developing well-rounded individuals. It really does sound like a blueprint for success that goes way beyond just football.
Yeah.
But did this academy, did it actually like produce results?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at some of the players that have come out of there. Yusuf Enassiri and Nayef Agard.
Right.
Key figures in the men's national team now.
Yeah.
They both came up through that academy. And you see a lot of the members of the under-17 and women's national teams also honed their skills there.
Wow.
It really became a breeding ground for top Moroccan football talent.
That's incredible. So this one academy really played a major role in like totally transforming their football scene.
I mean, it was a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the only one. I mean, they also made some really strategic decisions about their funding. So remember that FIFA grant back in 2020?
Yeah. Wasn't that to help federations cope with the impact of COVID-19?
Exactly. A lot of federations used it for, immediate relief efforts.
Right. To stay afloat.
Exactly. But Lekja saw a different opportunity.
Okay.
He decided to invest a significant chunk of that money into women's football.
Interesting. Now, some people might think that's, a little controversial.
Right.
Using pandemic relief for sports.
Well, yeah, but this was a brilliant long-term play. I mean, it signaled to everyone that women's football was a top priority.
Right.
And it allowed them to bring in Reynald Pedros, who is this highly successful coach, to lead the national team and develop youth programs.
That's a bold move, and it seems like it's paying off, right? I mean, the Atlas Lionesses made it to the Women's World Cup round of 16, but this investment wasn't just in the national team, right?
No.
Yeah.
They recognized the importance of building a solid foundation,
Yeah.
from the ground up.
Right.
So they made it mandatory for all clubs
Okay.
to set up youth academies to identify and develop talent.
So it's like every club, not just the national federation, had to contribute to developing young players.
Exactly. And this had this ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Because some of these players, they went on to play professionally in Europe.
Mhm.
And others, they elevated the level of the Moroccan clubs,
Yeah.
which allowed them to compete at a higher level internationally. So they were raising the bar across the board.
They were playing the long game. It wasn't just about the elite level. They were creating this, pipeline of talent that would benefit Moroccan football for years to come.
Yep.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about these investments and the changes they made at a structural level, but what about the men's team specifically? How did that success, that World Cup run and all that, how did that tie into all of this?
So, of course, it all ties into this system. But there's another piece to this puzzle that we haven't mentioned yet. The Moroccan diaspora.
Okay.
Think about the sheer number of talented Moroccan footballers playing in these footballing powerhouses around the world. Right?
Yeah, like France, Spain, Netherlands.
Exactly. And the challenge was convincing these players, many of whom had already represented their adopted countries at youth levels, to choose Morocco instead.
Right.
And to choose them over these established national teams. But they managed to do it. And the impact was undeniable.
I mean, we're talking stars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hakim Ziyech, Achraf Hakimi, Sofiane Amrabat, these were key players in that historic World Cup run.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the women's team either.
Oh, right.
They had players like Yasmin Zouhir, Rosella Ayan. They brought their skills and experience to the Atlas Lionesses.
Okay, so they were strategically bringing in these top-level players from abroad to, complement the homegrown players they were developing.
Right.
But I imagine attracting these diaspora players, wasn't that a little controversial? I mean, some people might argue that it takes away opportunities from homegrown talent.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And it definitely sparked a lot of debate. But the Federation's argument was that, it was about creating the most competitive national teams possible.
Sure.
While also inspiring young Moroccan players to reach that same level.
Right. So it's like, look, we're bringing in the best, so you need to step up your game if you want to be a part of this. It's bold, but it seems like it worked.
It did.
Okay, but it wasn't just about importing talent, right? Didn't they also really focus on developing their own, coaching expertise?
Absolutely. They invested heavily in training Moroccan coaches. And now you see them leading at every level, from youth teams all the way up to the national team.
Oh, wow.
A perfect example is Walid Regragui, the coach who led the men's team to that World Cup semifinal.
Okay.
He's Moroccan.
So instead of relying on foreign coaches, they created a system where Moroccans are guiding and mentoring the next generation of Moroccan players.
Right.
It's about sustainability, not just relying on those short-term fixes. This football ecosystem, man, it's a really fascinating approach, but I think we need to dig a little deeper into how this all played out in reality. I know we have some incredible details from FIFA's coverage of Morocco's rise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those articles highlight some of the key moments, that really demonstrate the dedication and strategic thinking behind this whole transformation.
Okay, so give me an example.
Well, for example, did you know that Morocco hosted the Women's Africa Cup of Nations in 2022?
I did not know that. But hold on. To host something like that, you need serious infrastructure.
Yeah, you do. And investing in their sporting infrastructure was a key part of the plan. In fact, they've even won a bid to co-host the 2030 World Cup with Spain and Portugal.
Wow. So they were really in it for the long haul. Okay, so we've talked about the King Mohammed VI Football Academy and how crucial it was, but what did they do differently there? What made it so special?
Well, like I said before, it goes beyond just providing top-notch training facilities. They had this holistic approach.
Right.
They integrated education and sports medicine into the program.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, they have classrooms there where players can continue their academic studies.
Oh, wow.
So they make sure that these kids have options beyond football.
So they were trying to, develop well-rounded people, not just, football robots.
Exactly.
And I bet having that state-of-the-art sports medicine department right there really helped prevent injuries and kept the players in top form.
Absolutely. They recognized that a player's physical well-being is just as important as their technical skills.
Right.
And you see this same attention to detail in their approach to women's football as well. Remember that FIFA grant we were talking about? It wasn't just about hiring a top coach.
Right.
They also used those funds to establish youth programs specifically for girls.
So they weren't just trying to catch up. They were investing in the future of women's football.
Exactly.
It's almost like they were like playing a game of chess,
Yeah.
strategically placing their pieces to create this incredible force.
That's a great analogy. They weren't just hoping for the best, they were meticulously planning for success. But you have to remember, this success didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It took years of hard work, dedication, and a really deep belief in their vision.
I'm curious, though, about the sort of the human side of the story. We've talked a lot about the systems and strategies, but what about the people involved? What was it that drove them to embark on this ambitious journey in the first place? What was the driving force behind this revolution?
Well, to understand that, you have to understand the cultural significance of football in Morocco.
Okay.
It's more than just a sport there.
Right.
It's woven into the fabric of their society.
Yeah.
It's a source of national pride, a unifying force that brings people together.
I've heard those stories, about how entire cities in Morocco come to a standstill when the national team is playing.
Yep.
It's like the whole country is united behind them. But is that passion, is that really enough to fuel such a dramatic transformation?
I mean, that passion, it's definitely a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
But that's not the whole story. I think there was also this sense of frustration, a feeling that Moroccan football just wasn't living up to its potential.
Right. They had the talent, but not the system.
Exactly. They had these talented players, but they were lacking the infrastructure and the systems to nurture that talent.
So this revolution wasn't just about winning trophies. It was about something much deeper, something that resonated with the soul of the nation. It was about reclaiming their place on the world stage.
Right. About proving that Morocco could compete with the best.
Exactly. And that's what makes this story so compelling.
Yeah.
It's about more than just football. It's about a country finding its voice, inspiring a generation, and showing what's possible when you dare to dream big.
I love that. It really is incredible to think about the impact this has all had, not just, on the pitch, but for Morocco as a whole.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to shift gears a bit here. Is this model, replicable? Could we see a Morocco effect, spreading to other countries, maybe even, other industries?
Mm-hmm.
Can others learn from this approach?
Oh, absolutely. I think what Morocco has done goes way beyond just sports. It's like a blueprint for success.
Right.
It can be applied to, any field, really, where you're trying to build something great from the ground up.
So let's break that down a bit for our listeners. What are the key takeaways here? What makes this approach so universal?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about having that long-term vision.
Morocco wasn't just thinking about, winning the next game or the next tournament. They were thinking 10, 20 years down the line.
Right.
They set these incredibly ambitious goals and then worked backwards, meticulously figuring out every single step they needed to take to get there.
So it's not just wandering around aimlessly hoping for the best. You got to have that detailed roadmap.
Exactly. And that roadmap, it has to be comprehensive. Morocco didn't just focus on one aspect of the game.
Right.
They invested in infrastructure, in youth development, in coaching, in women's football.
That's a big one right there. It's about having the courage to stick to the plan, even when it means making some difficult decisions.
Yeah, and it's not just about, throwing money at a problem either.
Right.
It's about using those resources strategically, right?
Yeah.
Identifying those key areas where they could have the biggest impact.
So being smart with the money.
Exactly. And recognizing the power of untapped potential, like they did with the Moroccan diaspora.
Right.
They saw this huge pool of talent that was being overlooked.
Yeah.
And they found a way to bring those players into the fold. That's a lesson that any organization, any team can learn from.
I'm also really impressed by their commitment to developing that homegrown talent. It wasn't just about bringing in players from abroad. They put in the work to create those youth academies. They invested in their own coaches. Right. They made it mandatory for clubs to develop young players. It was about building that sustainable system from the ground up.
Yeah, and by investing in coaching education,
right,
they've created this system now where Moroccans are the ones guiding and mentoring that next generation of players. And that creates a sense of ownership, right? a sense of pride, a commitment to success that goes beyond just winning games.
It's like creating this self-sustaining cycle where success breeds more success. But let's get practical here for a second. Could a country with, fewer resources replicate this model? Could they build that football ecosystem even if they don't have, the same financial backing as Morocco?
That's a great question. While resources are definitely important,
Right.
I think the most crucial element is really the mindset.
Okay. The mindset.
It's about having that long-term vision, that unwavering belief in your ability to succeed and the discipline to execute that plan.
So it's less about just having tons of money,
Right.
and more about being smart, strategic, about how you use the resources you do have.
Exactly. I mean, look at a country like Iceland.
Okay, yeah.
They have a fraction of Morocco's population resources.
Right.
But they've built this incredibly successful football program. And they did it by focusing on, grassroots development, community involvement, and creating this really strong coaching culture.
That's a great example. So even smaller nations can make it happen if they apply these principles. But what about other industries? Could we see, like, a tech startup adopt a similar approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say you're a tech startup and you're trying to disrupt some big established industry.
Right.
You could apply these same principles. Invest in developing your own talent, build that strong internal culture that fosters innovation,
Right.
and focus on creating a sustainable system instead of chasing those, short-term gains.
It's about playing the long game, investing in your people, and building an environment where everyone is striving to be their best.
Exactly. And recognizing that success, it doesn't happen overnight. It's about laying the groundwork,
Right.
building that strong foundation, and then having the patience and the persistence to see it through.
So Morocco's story, it's not just about football.
Right.
It's a reminder that we can achieve some pretty incredible things when we have the right plan, the right people, and that unwavering belief in our vision. But I think there's another key element here that we can't overlook, that sense of national pride, that collective desire to succeed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's this powerful sense of unity and purpose in Morocco's football story. It's about a nation coming together to achieve something extraordinary. And that's something that goes beyond borders and languages and cultures. It's a universal human story.
It really is. It's a story that can connect with anyone who's ever dared to dream big, to challenge the status quo, to believe that anything is possible if you really set your mind to it. But not every country has that same level of passion for football as Morocco does.
That's true, but I think the principles behind their success, those are universal. So whether you're passionate about sports or technology or the arts or anything really, the power of that collective effort, the importance of setting those audacious goals, and the belief in the potential of your people.
Right.
Those are lessons that apply across any field.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what would you say to our listeners, the ones who maybe aren't like diehard football fans, but are still trying to achieve great things in their own lives? What's the message that resonates beyond the pitch?
I think the key message here is that success isn't just about talent or luck. It's about creating the right conditions for talent to flourish. It's about building a system, a culture, an environment where people can thrive and reach their full potential.
It's about empowering people,
Yeah,
fostering collaboration, and creating that sense of shared purpose.
exactly.
And that's something you can apply anywhere, leading a team, building a company, or even just pursuing your own goals.
You got it. It's about fostering that sense of belief, that conviction that anything is possible if you're willing to put in the hard work, the dedication,
Right.
and the unwavering commitment to your vision.
Now, Morocco's journey it's remarkable,
It is.
but it's not totally unique, right? I mean, we're seeing these similar transformations happening around the world. Think about, like, the rise of Japanese baseball or the recent success of Canadian basketball.
Right.
These are countries that invested strategically in their sports programs and, saw the rewards.
And it's interesting because these success stories, they often come from unexpected places. It's not always the countries with the biggest budgets or the longest traditions
Right.
that come out on top.
It's about finding your niche, identifying what you're good at, and building a system that takes advantage of that. And sometimes it's about having the courage to challenge the status quo, to, like, break free from the traditional playbook and forge your own path to success.
Exactly. Morocco didn't just follow the established model.
Yeah.
They built their own system.
Yeah.
tailored to their specific needs and aspirations. And that's a powerful lesson, you know? It's about being adaptable, being innovative, and always being willing to learn and evolve.
So we've talked a lot about how and why Morocco's been so successful, but what about the future? What sort of challenges do you think they'll face? And what opportunities are out there for them?
Yeah, it is exciting to see, a nation achieve so much, but you know how it is. With success, there's always new challenges.
Yeah.
Right? What are some of the hurdles you think Morocco might face as they try and keep this momentum going?
I think one of the biggest challenges is managing expectations. They've had a taste of success now
Right.
at the highest level.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be this pressure to keep delivering those results.
Right. Everyone's going to expect them to just keep winning.
Exactly. But as we've talked about, sustainable success, it's not a sprint.
Right.
It's a marathon.
It's about consistency. So they can't just cave to those quick fix temptations.
Right. If things get a little tough, no sudden overhauls just because they, have a bad tournament or two.
Exactly. They have to stick to the principles that got them here. That long-term planning,
Yeah.
the investment in youth development, and they've got to keep building up their coaching expertise.
All right.
From this point on, it's about evolution, not revolution.
And they've got to maintain that balance, right? Between homegrown talent and those diaspora players. Making sure that young Moroccan players, the ones coming up through the system, don't feel discouraged when they see these international stars joining the national teams.
It's a tough balance to strike, for sure. But, imagine the potential if they get it right. I mean, this success is already inspiring a whole new generation of Moroccan footballers.
Absolutely.
I mean, these kids have role models now
Right.
who look like them, who come from their communities, and who've reached the very top of the game.
It's that culture of aspiration we were talking about earlier. Suddenly, kids start to believe that anything is possible if they put in the work.
Right.
And that's a legacy that goes way beyond just, winning some football matches.
Absolutely. It extends beyond football, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this could inspire a whole generation of young Moroccans, to believe that they can achieve great things in any field, whether it's science, technology, the arts, whatever they set their minds to.
That's powerful stuff. But, Morocco's story, it's incredible, but it also serves as kind of a cautionary tale, right? We've seen it before. Countries or organizations, they have this flash of success and then they just kind of fade away just as quickly as they appeared.
Right.
So what's the key here? What's the key to sustained success? How do they avoid becoming just another, one-hit wonder?
I think that's where the strength of the system they've built really comes in. If they stick to that long-term vision, if they continue investing in youth development, in coaching education, if they stay adaptable and open to new ideas,
Right.
then I think they have a really good chance
Yeah.
of maintaining this upward trajectory.
It's about being true to those core values that got them to this point, but also being willing to evolve and adapt
Right.
as the landscape of the sport changes. What about the fans, though?
Oh, yeah.
Moroccan fans, they're known for being incredibly passionate, but that can also create a lot of pressure, can it? How do you think they'll handle those inevitable ups and downs that come
Right.
with competing at this level?
Yeah, that's a good point. Fan expectations, they can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
That passionate support can be incredibly motivating, but it can also lead to impatience and sometimes unrealistic demands.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really important for the Federation to, communicate effectively with the fans,
Yeah.
to emphasize that long-term vision
Oh.
and the importance of staying the course, even when, things don't go perfectly.
So it's all about transparency and open communication.
Absolutely.
And it's about celebrating the journey, not just, focusing on the final destination.
Right. And let's not forget about the role of the players in all this.
Yeah.
They're the ones out there on the pitch. They embody this transformation.
Right.
They're the ones inspiring that next generation. Their dedication, their resilience, their commitment to excellence, that's what's ultimately going to determine how far Moroccan football can go.
It's a team effort on and off the
Yeah.
pitch. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into this incredible story of Morocco's football revolution, I'm curious, what stands out to you? What's your big takeaway?
For me, it's just that reminder that even those really ambitious goals, they're achievable.
Yeah.
When you have the right combination of vision, planning, and just that unwavering dedication and success, it's not just about getting to the top. It's about building something that lasts, something that can inspire and benefit generations to come. keep your eye on Morocco in the 2026 World Cup
Oh, yeah.
and beyond. Because this story, it's far from over.
It's been an incredible journey exploring Morocco's rise, and it really makes you wonder, what other hidden gems are out there just waiting to be discovered? What other stories of transformation and triumph are unfolding right now all over the world? That's what keeps us diving deep, always searching for those inspiring stories that remind us of just how much potential we all have. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in the power of possibility.